All right, so this is the first inaugural episode of the Hagen's Alley Books podcast. Basically, what this podcast is going to be doing is literally just shooting the shit with a bunch of people that I know from all over the community. They don't have to be prolific. They can be involved in stuff. They can just be supportive and cool as shit. I think that today, as you can see on the screen and in the descriptions, I think he falls into both categories. What do you think here, David?
I actually kind of feel that way. Maybe I do fall into both categories.
I think that's pretty much how everybody that I know and I talk to, like everybody falls into like the we can shoot the shit and just drink a beer type category.
Yeah, man. You know what? I'm gonna grab a beer now that
It's a good idea. And so the format of this podcast is going to be completely off kilter. Have a beer, shoot the shit, no rules, just talk about what's going on. And it's a good venue to talk about what the hell's going on with some of my upcoming books too. You can hear David getting his beer right now, and that will not be edited out. That's exactly how it goes. I don't do any editing.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling good now.
There we go. There we go. You can't forget about the beer, man.
Oh no. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. So David, go ahead and do a real quick little impromptu introduction.
Oh, so I'm guessing about myself.
Yeah.
So my name is David Ortiz. I'm the founder and musical director of Mariachi Entertainment System. It's a video game music cover ensemble. We were founded about, oh goodness, what year are we? I guess 3 years ago.
It's been a little bit now.
Yeah, I feel like it. It went really quick, but yeah, I'm doing work right now on a super secret project I can't say anything about, but
Super secret.
Hopefully, yeah, people will get to see some of my work a little bit, and I guess we're primarily a YouTube channel. We've done some live stuff, but
Yeah.
that's what we do.
So the super secret one, is it going to be Mariachi Entertainment System involved, or just David Ortiz, or do you have a different name?
Good question. No, this is Mariachi Entertainment System involved.
Nice.
As Mariachi Entertainment System will be credited with the body of work that we're involved in.
So as you know with content, because you do create YouTube channels, this stuff is forever. So basically, when people go back and listen to this, they'll be like, "Oh, that's the project they were talking about." So
right.
I have a hint. I already kind of know where it's going. So it is super freaking rad, man. Congrats on getting involved with that project.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm kind of shitting bricks right now about it, but you know what? I'm pretty confident that it's gonna be. It's been a major blast, and I'm pretty confident that I don't know. I don't think it's one of those things that people necessarily like really notice, but we'll put it out there, and I think people will enjoy it.
And I think that once it comes out, that's going to be a breath of fresh air, and that'll be part of what I'd like to shoot the shit with you about today. Is literally the content creation aspects, because we've both had our shares of ups and downs with crazy projects.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
There's many a night we're probably both sitting here shooting the shit and drinking a beer and like, oh, what the hell are we gonna do next?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm going through that. You know what? But you really helped me, man. The last few, the last couple of weeks, I've been talking. It's been really, really helpful for me, and just getting back into kind of a really, really good rhythm that I'm enjoying right now. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, man. It's no problem. And like seriously, I get into the same type of slumps. Like, and I get it. And that's the thing that like a lot of people don't realize out there is that like time does go by fast, but it also goes by fast into where like, oh, where'd the time go?
Right.
I gotta get shit together.
Oh yeah.
And family happens, man. And that was one of both of like what we were both hitting on, is that like we want to spend as much time with family as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it like it's tough because we got all these due outs, all this crazy stuff we need to accomplish, and like family also has to be budgeted in that time.
Yeah, I kind of think of it like I don't, this is really personal, but like for me, my mom and dad like didn't really have like a real healthful relationship when I was growing up. It became healthy later, but so like my dad, he was there in a producer kind of way, like he was there financially, but like not really time wise. And I really didn't want to be like that as a dad, you know.
I think I
Uh,
know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? And so like, so I kind of tend to think the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but I kind of tend to think like it's not really to me about budgeting family time. It's like to me, family is everything, and then I have to budget everything else.
Well,
So,
that is an actual really good way to look at it.
mhm,
And I mean, for real, because like you're mentioning the parent thing, that kind of hits home too, because like my dad would be the one who wouldn't show up to band concerts or you know drumline sessions or
mhm,
track meets that I was in or anything, concerts, anything. Like he
mhm,
would never show up. So I'm the one who like today I was swimming with my daughter at the pool like
right.
all day.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man. Like I know that I don't have to ask you. I don't think we've ever talked about it, but I know when you get to share those things, like things that you enjoy, and share them with your kids, it's like the greatest thing that you could ever do. And so, I mean, like the greatest thing in terms of like, it just feels good,
Yeah.
just so yeah, it's been cool enjoying music with my son.
So actually, I got a story that I haven't told anybody.
Oh,
Here's
here we
here's
go.
here's a good one.
Mm.
So sharing things that we're creating. I've been working on a book with my daughter for the past
Oh.
year, and it's my daughter's name's London. It's London's Big Book of Ponies.
Mm.
And so like we've literally been taking My Little Ponies, making them big on the screen, and then I'm taking what she says verbatim and transposing it on the book. So I actually finished it like last week with her, and it's been over a
Wow.
year. And the funny thing is you can see the impact it's had on her, because not only does she enjoy it, but I've like we take her to aftercare when she gets done with school, and she just graduated kindergarten. So
Wow.
she came to me and she's like, "Daddy, I made you a book." And she actually made me a book where she drew the pictures and everything on each page.
Oh, man,
Like
that is super cool, man.
that just happened. Like
That man, I think I would lose my shit, man. Just be
dude,
like,
I'm just saying
fuck.
it. And my daughter is 6 right now.
That's awesome, man.
And so like so you can see like just the fact that I'm spending time with her, and we were sitting here going through pages, and like she's not really even into My Little Ponies that much anymore, like
Right.
at all. No, she's moved on. Like
Right, right, right.
she's actually all about Mario Brothers and Princess
Oh,
Peach right now.
oh, here we go. See, now we're on the common ground here.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool, man. That's cool.
But like, yeah, so we finished up that pony book, and now I'm getting a cover done by yeah, I know a lot of artists with involved with all my book releases, and it's actually
Mhm.
gonna have a really cool cover.
Oh,
And
that's
then I'm
cool,
gonna
man.
print like 4 copies, because I don't think anybody's interested in a My Little Pony book that buys any of my gaming books.
You know, I can't forget about that, man, because I guess that, as creators, you know, uh, we tend to be like prolific about creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And try to diversify. I have actually written a children's book, and I kind of got stuck on like the process, like how do you get it published? You know what I mean? So I need to get with you on that, like how to
Just get
get
with
like
me,
a
man.
printed copy. So I need to get with you on that. Yeah.
So that's the interesting part, is I've talked to like a few other authors, and I'm like, I'm a publishing company, right? Like you don't have to go through like Amazon or any of those ones where you're limited. Like I'm actually like a homegrown publishing company. I have it figured out, and I can do as much or as little as somebody needs.
That's awesome.
If somebody just needs to get in contact with the printing company and make it happen, done. Like, I don't need my name on it or anything. I'm just trying to help people out, make cool shit. Like,
That's cool, man. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna remember that for sure. Cause
for sure,
got
man.
kids, got a kids book. It's gonna be badass.
Yeah, dude. Like, and that's the thing is, like, that's a huge market, is just like the children's book aspects. And like My Little Pony book wouldn't go anywhere because I'm not gonna get it or I don't have it licensed by Hasbro. So if it's not licensed by Hasbro, it's likely not gonna go anywhere. I probably could get it licensed, but then I would have to go crowdfunding with it, and
Right.
it's a My Little Pony book. I don't have
Right.
have an innate like fan base for that.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say, get your compendium fans to, hey man, can you take a look at this My Little Pony thing while you're at it? Yeah,
Exactly.
be a tough sell.
It's classics though. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I've overcome like tons and tons of like ups and downs with these older books that it's like I'm not gonna dig into that with a pony book. But it was like what we were talking about something like last week, and you're like, man, you're making good progress, and like I'm in good spirits, and I'm like, oh, you haven't read my last update.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm literally like, I think it's over $10,000 in the hole right now with my last book. Really, like Jesus.
Jesus, man.
Talk about stress. And the thing is though, is that this isn't my day job, so
Right.
I'm doing this on the side. So even when I have the printing company that sent a mistake where they didn't have adhesive on some of the spines of the books, not all of them, but some. And then my warehouse dropped the ball, and they're supposed to check every book, and they ship them all out with the errors.
Oh, shitty, dude.
So like,
Would you want it to be?
Would I want what?
Would you want it to be like your main source of income?
So I've went back and forth with my wife about it, because obviously anything that has to do with like the entire family, I shoot it
Right.
for my wife.
Sure.
And like on my current job, I'll be retired in about 6 years.
Jesus, man.
And because I'm active duty military, I've been active duty military for forever now, for like 13, 14 years now. So like right now, my job is super, super busy.
Wow.
And like, but come 6 years from now, I could retire. But the thing is I probably would do the books only if the convention scene is the same as it is now.
Oh, okay.
Because
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I totally know what you mean.
Because I mean, the conventions right now, there's like one every weekend.
Yeah.
So like, if I was gonna do my books and I would go to conventions every weekend, I could literally
That
have
could
a
be your
place to
life.
sell. That would be easy.
Right.
But do I want to travel every weekend?
Yeah.
Because any weekend you don't travel is sales.
Losing out. Man, that's a tough thing to negotiate, man.
It's a tough thing to talk about, yeah. But the thing is, though, is that like family can come with. I mean, it's
You're right.
something I could budget. Wife and daughter could travel if my wife wants to travel. Daughter definitely.
Yeah, I feel like I miss that, like with music. You know, I don't know, man. I feel like with music, when you're a musician and you start doing this thing, like this travel thing, like you're either going to make it lucrative for yourself by like always traveling, like just being always ready to go, or like you're gonna be like me and like take gigs that are like, oh, this is a cool idea, and then you just lose money, you know?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, like I feel like that phase of my life kind of already passed, where I'm kind of like, even if I wanted to take my family, it would be like a vacation, like, yeah, I'm gonna take this gig out of town. I'm taking the family, but like, basically I'm paying for it, So,
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a whole goddamn cat. My cat was getting in the way.
Is that what that is? The cat?
Yeah, man, my cat. My cat has schizophrenia.
We got cat action here on the cast. It's awesome. Cat cast.
Dude, my cat straight up has schizophrenia. Like, and I actually my day job is in helping to treat patients with severe cases of schizophrenia.
Okay.
And so I don't say it lightly when I say my cat has schizophrenia.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
For
I don't know
real, your cat has schizophrenia.
for like legit. But good thing she's behaving right now, so we're all right. We're gonna live.
It's classics though.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, that's the thing though, is that like the difference between picking something you're passionate about and then picking just everything and anything though, it also could lead to burnout and all of that too, and then it wouldn't end up being what you expected. So there's like a
right.
happy medium, I think.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I can't find it, but it's in there somewhere. I've heard of it. I've heard people talk about it.
Well, I mean, there's one thing with striking, having lightning strike or striking the iron while it's hot at the same time. So,
Mm,
like, I mean, with my complete NES book that I released, I literally hit lightning and like it exploded and got popular. And
right.
I could easily released it a year later to a lot less fanfare. Like, like literally, I was one of the first to print per se.
That's it's a really important thing that you're doing. These documents, they have a historical value. You know, it's really important that things like this get documented and put out there. So you're very important, man.
I'm very important. Thank you, Sid.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're hella important.
I'm just I'm just a crazy ass dude, just like you, just like everybody else, man. And
Yeah.
the thing that was interesting though is one of my one of the guys who just got the newest book said something today that was interesting. It kind of struck a little bit of a chord, a good chord. But he was like, dude, and this is a very prolific collector. Like he has a lot of stuff. He takes high quality pictures of like games all across the internet, like, and basically he said, dude, it's like until I get your books in print, I don't know what I need until I see it all in front of me with like the short synopsises. So like, he's
Mm,
talking about the
mm,
Super Nintendo book with the Super Famicom games, and he's like, dude, I see all the names, I see all the ROMs and everything online, but he's like, until I
uh,
see it all visually, it doesn't click.
mm.
And I was like, damn, that's exactly why I'm addicted with creating these type of books.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
And the thing is though is that like I could say the same about like the stuff that you guys are putting out because you're putting your own cultural spin on classic tunes.
Yeah, man. That's weird. I don't think I really thought of it that far. Like when we first started. I mean,
Yeah,
like basically I thought as far as like this will be cool. Like I just, and basically only my opinion. Like
yeah. You're
and-
like, oh, this might be something that would be cool to do.
yeah, yeah, and like and I I imagine that there are a lot of aspiring creators and aspiring like YouTube artists out there
Oh yeah.
where like there's this sort of myth about how you dream about going viral and that sort of thing. And there's a degree of truth to it, but like it's more like there's a part of you that knows it's a fantasy, you know,
Yeah.
where like and you fantasize, you sit there and you like imagine you waking up and there's a million views and whatever all that shit. But when it actually happens,
When it
it's like
happens.
yeah, when it actually it's nothing like what you imagine. Number one, and and there's you you kind of just think like even though you fantasize it about it all this time, you're like, I didn't think this would ever happen, you know. Um, and so yeah, like I guess going back to that is just like when I thought of that, I was just like, this will be fun, and and it is. So to see people's reaction to it still somehow was surprising, and it still continues to be surprising. I don't really know. I don't know why. Like it seems obvious to me. Like I don't know why no one else has done it. Like I'm
Oh,
just like waiting for
that's how
someone else
you
to do it.
know it's truly a cool thing is when people go, "Why hasn't that been done before?"
Right, right.
And it's
Yeah.
awesome. And that's the thing. It's like, and that could be said about like multiple different content creators currently. Is that
Hmm.
like you're doing something that's like, oh my god, that's amazing.
It,
And
it's it seems obvious to me. Like it seems really obvious, and yet no one seems to be doing it. And I'm just like, any day now, I'm gonna wake up, and some other mariachi out there is going to do exactly all the things that I'm thinking because it just seems that obvious to me. And they're gonna beat me to it, and I'm just like, but it hasn't happened, and so I guess I better knock on wood. I'll just knock on wood.
Well, here's the thing: is even if they do, you've already set the bar high enough to where, especially with not only with the talent of the musicians, but like the production value, that they would just come off as a copycat. It wouldn't even be close.
All right, man, that would be weird.
It would be weird, like literally, like the bar's too high. I would say that's probably why you haven't seen anybody. of,
Well,
of
that's
course, of course. Now, like me being the collector, let's say, or the I go a little prolific on VGBS quite a few times too. Like setting your mark in history. So right now you've released via YouTube. You have, and of course we talk about like producing content and the Kickstarter that you've done. So once you get that stuff out there, like you get the release. Especially, I was like a big advocate of pushing you to try to do like a vinyl, and like getting your stuff out there on like classic vinyl and classic audio styles and formats. That's a legacy at that point.
Right.
Because to me, YouTube, the internet, everything is finite.
Yeah, when you have like, like you were saying, like a vinyl, when you start having things that like people collect.
Yeah.
There's just this thing, this like immortality.
Well, and then when you go to conventions, guess what? You got T-shirts you can sell, you got vinyl you can sell, and you literally can make some money.
Yeah.
To pay the conventions. Otherwise, you're just getting paid to play. And I think we've talked about it before. Like you're moving an entire mariachi band, you have to pay the players, you have to move all the equipment. Like that's expensive.
It's extremely expensive. There's, and then like my thing is like, dude, this is, I don't know how much of the problem this is, but like, man, I do not care about money at all. You can like, I feel like at times I cannot be bought.
Yeah. It's actually
so
a
like,
really good thing to have.
And I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus here, but like MagFest reached out to us like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And there was this thing where they wanted us to basically take like less than half my group to MagFest, and I really, and initially I was like, yeah, let's do it for the sake of just being at MagFest and having that experience and everything. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, number one, like, how do I tell the other half of my guys like you're not going, and how do I choose which ones do and which ones don't? Like all those logistics. And then finally I was just like, you know what? No, like I wrote these arrangements for 11 people and you know what? I'm just not going to do it. And so I passed that up and I said, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. And, of course it's, they haven't reached out to me since,
Yeah.
And of course they wouldn't. Why would they? Right.
Well, why would they? Is because you're still out there and you're still doing something that nobody else is doing. The thing that they should realize is that, I mean, there was two things you just mentioned there. Number one is the personalities that you're dealing with MES. Like, you don't want to step on anybody's toes or let anybody like feel left out, and that's why you have such a tight knit group. And then number two is the integrity of the actual music. If you brought half your band, it wouldn't even be it wouldn't be MES. It would be something else.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't, and I would just, and we get that all the time. Like, especially as mariachis, like we have, mariachi is weird. Like, even in the traditional side of the music, man, you can make a $50,000 living playing mariachi. Like, if you're halfway decent, like you can do it, and because there's always work, especially in this area, in San Antonio, there's always work, and you always get people that just want to shortchange you. Like they don't really want to pay musicians. They just go, "How much for an hour?" And you tell them, "Yeah, $350," and they want to shortchange you. They want to go, "Well, how about if you only bring two guys? How much then?" And you're kind of like, "Dude, come on, man."
You tell them, you're like, "Oh, then it's $750."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, it's gonna be harder, so then it's gonna cost more money. There's only two of us. We gotta play 11. We have to play 11 pieces.
Yeah, yeah. No, you know what? I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna take your advice on that
Hell yeah! Like be like, oh, you want me to only bring half my band? Will cost double the amount because I'm gonna still pay those other guys.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I do this thing, man, and I know I come off as a total dick, but I really don't care. Like sometimes they'll call and they'll say, "How much for MES?" And I'll say, "It's like $1,500 an hour and a minimum of 2 hours." You know.
Yeah.
And really, like the reason I say that is not because I think we're worth it. It's because like the amount of work we'd have to put in to like prepare for that is so much, and then like I kind of just want them to say no, and then we don't have to do the work. Like we have other things to worry about, you know.
Well,
Um,
it's one of those things. It's like, how much is your time worth? Because it's
yeah,
time.
yeah, and that's basically what it comes down to. And I'm really okay with them just going like, well, that's way too much money. And sometimes I'll, you know, like one time this lady called, she said, "Can you come and play Star Wars? You know, your Star Wars thing at the wedding. We really want a mariachi today." I said, "Sure," you know, and I gave her this ridiculous price. And she says, "Well, no, I don't think we're gonna go with that." And I said, "That's fine. That's great. Don't you know? You don't have to." I said, and she says, "Do you know any other mariachi that plays Star Wars?"
No.
And I said, "Good luck." And she called back a day later, and she was like, "Okay, we'll pay it."
Wow.
So, you know, I was like, "Okay, sure, why not?"
I think that kind of goes almost like hand in hand with like my first year when I was doing my book releases to like this year.
Hmm.
Cause like the first year I was, cause I was on the East Coast and there's conventions everywhere, and I was literally going to conventions all over the place. Like I think I went to 13 or 14 conventions the first year, and
Jesus.
it was freaking nuts. It was like every weekend, and I wasn't taking any time off work. I would go to work Friday, get off work,
Hmm.
go to the convention, stay till Sunday night, go back and go to work on Monday.
Jesus, man.
Like I was getting burned out. But the thing was, I was getting my name out there. It was cool. Um,
Mm.
but then like I realized when I did my taxes how much money I spent doing that. Because again, like you were saying, like money is like kind of a hindsight type aspect, and
Hmm.
I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, I'm thousands in the hole now. That's not good. And I live
Mm.
like I'm the dude who I'll stay on a floor with a bunch of buddies at too many games, and I'll bring a blow up mattress and sleep on the floor and
Mm.
share prices. I don't care, and that still was thousands in the hole. It was crazy. Like I'm talking about cutting costs at every aspect. So like this year though, I'm only going to places that I'm invited to,
Uh-huh.
and so like I've had dozens and dozens of people going, "So you're going to too many games this year, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I wasn't invited."
All
Like,
right.
what do you mean you weren't invited? I'm like, well, every other year I was 45, or I was not 45 minutes, but like 2 hours away, and that's from where I lived. And I'm like, well, I moved down to Texas now, and like they don't invite me because I'm not part of Screenwave Media, or I'm not like a YouTuber. I do
Oh.
other type of media, and I'm like, and every other year I would just go out there, and I'm like, I can't really afford to do that. So if they want to invite me, I will go out there. Any convention wants to invite me, and I can get the time off work, I will be out there. Like, don't care how big. Like, it's
Yeah,
fun.
man, dude, that's nuts, man. It's a
Yeah.
lot of cons.
So this year I have three for the rest of the year.
Where are you going? I
Three.
mean, you've yeah. Where are you going?
So Classic Game Fest in
In
Austin.
Austin?
Yep.
Yeah.
They invited me out, so I was like, that's cool. That one is a weird one though because there are three conventions that weekend in Texas.
Really?
There's Let's Play over in Dallas, which is by my buddy Christian, which I didn't know it was the same weekend. I would have
Hmm.
went to his convention because he's a good buddy of mine. Like, but I committed to Classic Game Fest before that. And then there's a Retropalooza that weekend too. I think in Houston,
Really?
and they may or may not have canceled that one. I'm not sure because there's literally three conventions that same weekend. Like that's crazy in Texas.
Yeah, we got invited to Classic Game Fest in Austin, but
Can you make
yeah,
it
it was
work? Is the question. And,
yeah, you know, it's tough, man. It's tough with cons like, and then I feel like we got kind of spoiled. Like, we have PAX South here in San Antonio,
mm-hmm.
and we do it every year, mostly because, and this is one of those things. It's like they don't pay. You know, they give us like a little space to sell merch and stuff, but they're like, you know, their handlers just treated us so well that first year that we did it.
There you go.
and they were just so nice and so accommodating. And then like the second year that we did it, they were, also they just treated us really, really great. They just have a lot of respect, and so that went a long way for me. And so even though they don't pay, I'm just like, no, we'll do it because these guys are cool.
Well, there's also
Uh,
the logistics is that they're in San Antonio. You don't have to
the
go too far.
logistics, the logistics helps, but like even with like Classic Game Fest, and I'm not trying to say that they're not cool, um, but I feel like I kind of hold everybody now to this standard, you know, where that like PAX was just so accommodating again,
I don't think
and
there's any reason not to hold everybody to a certain standard.
yeah, man, I get weird about it, man. I get weird about it because nobody wants to pay musicians,
Well,
just for
here's
your
the
for your
thing
time.
though. If you didn't have those standards, you wouldn't be able to make it work.
Right.
That's the thing. You literally couldn't do it. So there's no reason to not have the standards. You might as well. And I mean, if they can't have you out, they can't have you out.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's only a few places that do music that I see at conventions too now.
Oh, really? Really? That's what and I'm not even that like brushed up on my cons. So like Classic Game Fest, like it's not really. I don't even know how that works. Like they have music there, I'm guessing, right? I mean, and they have, but I don't know
They're
if
one
they
of the
have like.
biggest retro gaming ones. I've never been. This is the first year I'm gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
But they're one
We
of the
have to grab a
biggest.
beer, man.
Hell yeah.
That's in July, right?
That is in July, correct?
July. What's the date on that? It's like late July, right?
Yeah, it's near the end of July. It might be in the 20s. I have this little cool thing on my calendar where I link my iPhone and I can check it and it'll go right to my website. And it'll say like what my next convention is. So it is the 28th and the 29th. It's over on hagensalley.com. You can see it too. And I can put like if I have a panel or whatever's going on. And so yeah, like Classic Game Fest is the 20th and 29th, literally at the end of the month in July. And then I'll be going to Game On Expo in Arizona, which is my buddy Gamester81's his convention. Really, really cool one. I went there last year. It was really fun. Yeah, and then I'm gonna be going to Portland Retro Gaming Expo again. I couldn't go last year, but I went the year before and it was a blast.
Man, I'm got me thinking about that Classic Game Fest now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go. Can I go?
Yeah, you can come. Come out, come hang out, man. Well, here's the thing: is like the other aspect is you don't literally have to go there to perform. You can go there just to promote MES.
That's well, I was just thinking of just going just to go because I like classic games.
And you can just go just to hang out and shoot the shit and drink some beer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Have you been? You've been to Austin?
I've never been to Austin.
Oh man.
You gotta realize I live in the middle of nowhere right now in Texas.
Was it San Angelo?
San Angelo, middle of nowhere, man. It's like 2 hours to the next town, not even a big town.
Yeah, no.
Like 3
well,
hours
at least San Angelo, like there's a university out there, right?
Yeah, San Angelo State.
Yeah, well, at least you guys have that.
And I mean, I'll be out here for another year and a half, 2 years.
Jesus.
Like that. Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing out there. Austin is, I don't know, man. Austin has lost a lot of its charm. It's completely gentrified, but a lot of it's still there. You can still find really cool stuff. You'll have fun.
And then a convention is its own beast. Like any convention that goes around is like it's its own entity, and everybody just hangs out, and we go have drinks after the convention, or sometimes during the convention, as the last one I went to. Like the last one that I just went to, because I only did one other convention this year, and it was Midwest Gaming Classic. And that one, like Friday night, is like a night for MVPs. And I had my book set up, and none of the cellar area was open, but I had my book set up outside of it, and I was sitting there just drinking with Kyle from VGBS, and we were just shooting the shit, and people were buying my books. It happened the last 2 years. Like I almost sold out the day before the convention opens.
Really?
It happens every time, and
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's just. Well, the thing is that's crazy about my books is like once people look at them, they're like, oh my god. Then they're like, well, how much is it? And I'm like, oh, that giant 500-page book, $40. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
so he's
Yeah.
like, wait, they're like $80. Everybody else is. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I do this as a hobby. Pay it forward.
Jesus. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. They're beautiful, man.
Dude, thanks. I appreciate it.
No, they are, man. And it's, it was, I really, man, the one that copy that you sent me of the SNES one.
Oh yeah.
That copy. I mean, I was poring over that, and it was just great, man. And like, uh, the format, the way you have it all laid out, and it's just really, really fantastic to relive a lot of that.
And that was the compendium, right? The compendium
Yes.
series. Yeah. So that was that's like our personal stories of the Super Nintendo, and that was literally just an idea I had because I was like, well, what about this? And I already have my
It's
Super
fantastic.
Nintendo collector's book, and I'm like, but nobody's told our history. Ours, like, we've shot this shit, we've talked about it on podcasts and on YouTube videos, but it's like, it's nowhere in print.
No, I think that's fantastic. I think that like all those stories, like being so personal, there is, for a lot of those experiences, they're archetypal. They live somewhere in that in our collective psyche, in our experiences. So when we share those things, and when people put it into words that we're not, that we hadn't really thought of before, it almost makes it new again. You know, and so I don't know. I really enjoyed flipping through that.
I thought some of the cool ones were like, because like I had a lot of different experiences than other people too, and like I think it was Lance Cortez from Retro TV. He was talking about Mortal Kombat Monday, and I only heard about Mortal Monday. I only heard about it and reading his stories on it and his experiences with like. I was like, oh my god, this is like awesome.
Wait a minute, how old are you?
So I'm 37, about to be 38.
Okay, I was like, the Mortal Monday thing.
Mm-hmm.
God, man, that was incredible, man.
I remember it,
that.
but I just you gotta realize I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, so like it was 20 minutes to the nearest mall or nearest game, like where I could buy games, and I didn't have any vehicles, so like I never got to go.
That's a trip. That's a trip, man. Because like I kind of grew up in the same way. Like I grew up in rural Texas, and it's an hour to like the nearest mall.
Yeah.
And yet somehow like we like experienced that. I mean, we drove several days like in a row to try to get a copy, starting with Mortal Monday. And it was total pandemonium every time. It was crazy, man.
It was just crazy to think about how visceral and real it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shit
Absolutely.
was nuts.
It was nuts. Man. Shit was crazy.
And that's the thing that's like that. I'm glad I was able to capture like a little bit of that in print form. Like seriously, like some of those could be the books on their own. Like just
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
God.
For sure. Yeah, man.
And that's the thing that's gonna be interesting is like so with the Super Nintendo book, that whole release, that was with my old printing company, and I could do both print runs decently. But with my new print company, the print run has to be bigger. So if I do like a Sega Genesis book and then I do a compendium, they have to be two separate campaigns. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. Because like I'm gonna upload these podcasts to YouTube too, so people listening will be able to see like my title card and everything. And my next book that's coming up has been on the title card the whole time. It's Hidden Gaming Gems, Generation by Generation. So like my first book I wrote, and I published it in 2012 in Europe actually. Yeah, like like a European publisher picked it up and did their own thing and ruined the formatting, and it was crazy. Definitely not what I would have done. And this is going to be my version of it with the giant art, and it's more comprehensive reviews on Hidden Gaming Gems. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't know about it, and hopefully you do know about some of them and you can like remember them and play them again. But like I'm I'm going over them all. I've overhauled them all. I've already have like 350 pages written of my own side because I've rewritten all the reviews, and they're like 4 to 8 page reviews. Craziness, and like basically games that are unappreciated are going to be in there too, along with brand new games that nobody really knows about.
Nice.
So like, but it's every generation. So from the first generation, which is like Pong clones, all the way to the Switch now, with brand new stuff.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck.
it's just like insane, and it's out of hand for sure. And you know the contributors are gonna write their own parts too, and so it's just crazy though, man. And it's gonna be live on Kickstarter after E3 this year. I was gonna launch it in May, but this whole print run with the spine, I wanted to get everything sorted and en route and working before I did my next Kickstarter, because like I want everybody to have their books perfectly. So now that all of that is in process, they're reprinting the entire print run of my Super Nintendo book, and then I got to send like over like a few hundred books in bulk to a repair facility. So all of that's in motion now.
Jeez, man, you're a passionate guy.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts, dude.
That's a lot of work. It just sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot of stuff. It's just getting all the ducks in a row, but like I understand how it works.
Oh yeah. For sure, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like
yeah,
so I know the process. It's all like, for example, anybody who got a book that had a print error, I put it all in a spreadsheet. So anybody who messaged me, I said, "Hey, shoot me a picture." They shot me a picture, got it in a spreadsheet, and then they'll all get a replacement, like no cost to them. Like,
nice.
Just how it works. But
spreadsheet sounds like a good idea. Maybe I should do that.
Dude, I have spreadsheets on top of spreadsheets, and I like for the contributors for the Hidden Gaming Gems book, I have a spreadsheet of everybody who wants to contribute, and then I'm putting the game, the generation it was in, whether it's written or not. That way, if like somebody says, "Oh, I'm writing this review and I don't have it yet," I'm like, "Hey, where's that at?" And like those won't even be due till probably July for the contributors. Just how it is. But it's like it's a lot of pieces, man. It's a lot of pieces. So
sure is.
So one of the Hidden Gaming Gems aspects is things that in new games that people don't know about, but one that we were talking about earlier, you said you've barely delved into it, and I've played it a little bit, and it's also on this screen, is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon.
God damn it.
Jesus,
yes.
Dude, I didn't even, like, I saw when they announced this thing, like, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whenever EGA announced it, and I'm like, well, this should have been the fucking game to begin with.
Right.
like whatever Bloodstained ends up being, it's not going to be as good as this.
So how much of it have you played?
So I played through the entire game the first time through.
Okay.
And one way, because I guess you can play through it 2 different ways.
Okay.
So
yeah, and I really don't know. I've played through like the first 2 levels, and actually like I am happily stuck like on the, I guess you could say, second boss.
Yeah.
And so like that's about where I'm at. But immediately, I mean, just in those first 2 stages, I only heard about the game probably about 3 days ago from like a buddy on Facebook who like posted a screenshot,
Yeah.
And he basically said like, I'm in tears, like I feel like I'm playing Castlevania again. The thing is, like, I'm not really a big Castlevania fan. Like I didn't like it as a kid.
I'm a huge Castlevania fan.
Oh, really?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Is this similar? Is it?
So this is literally a spiritual successor to Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse on the NES.
Okay.
Like Dracula's Curse, you would come across other characters as you go through as Trevor Belmont, and you could choose a different character that you could switch between.
Oh, okay.
But you could only do one other character as you meet them. So you'd have Grant, who could stick to the walls, or you'd have Alucard, which ended up being Alucard in Symphony of the Night, and he could turn into a bat. Well, what Bloodstained did was as you go through and you defeat these gigantic bosses, So like the graphics, when you look at the graphics of this game, it looks like it wants to be NES, but then it overhauls all the backgrounds. The bosses are gigantic,
Right.
and it just looks amazing. So it's like a pseudo NES style, kind of Shovel Knight, basically, if you think about it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. And actually, I'm glad you told me that because see, I was about to incorrectly cite an influence. See, I thought the thing about trading characters and then like the way you can do it, like you can trade like
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of the level,
Yep.
and like kind of reserve the power, like the energy level of like the other character. And I was like, oh, this is like Ninja Turtles, like the first one,
It is.
where you
It
can just like,
is.
and I was like, oh, that's where they got that from. And I thought this is really fantastic. I really like that.
Well, here's the
Um,
thing to think about. Who made the Ninja Turtles game?
oh, was it Ultra?
Yeah, which is a off-brand of Konami.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah, 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 for sure.
So
I
there
didn't think
is a
about that.
parallel in there. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's not a bad parallel because here was the thing that Ninja Turtles did that this does very well, and that is you have 4 characters. Ninja Turtles have 4 characters, right?
Uh-huh.
And they all have their own life bar. So
Right.
if you're playing through as the swordsman and your life starts to get down, you can switch over to the whip user and continue on. And then if you find a power up and she has her full power, you can switch over to the swordsman and power him up a little bit. I did that in Ninja
Mm.
Turtles all the time.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, 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 yeah. You get like, you'd be like, oh man, Donatello's weak. He needs the pizza. So like you switch over. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Oh man.
dude, like, and the thing is that so it definitely is a spiritual successor. It doesn't quite delve into the lore like a Castlevania does.
Uh-huh.
So I've seen people say where it's like it's missing something story wise, but I don't really think it is
You
because
know,
it goes deep.
well, okay, and again, I haven't played through it, but I did think that and the thing is, I wasn't sure about the writing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is this? It seems like it's supposed to be really highly stylized, like both in terms of shitty Japanese translation,
Yeah.
and this sort of melodramatic uh, narrative that's, like kind of like a period sort of writing. So I kind of felt like it was like kind of hybridized, but then I thought it's kind of bad, and I was like, I'm not sure if that's like the style they're going for
Well,
or
I
what.
think it was kind of their hands were a little tied because if they go too deep, it'll be too similar to Castlevania. Because the
Mm-hmm.
characters, I mean, you literally have a Belmont whip user, you have the same Dracula guy,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, that's true.
you have a sorcerer just like Sifa in Castlevania 3. The only difference is your sword user is completely different, and it has
Mm,
all the different powers, which is really really cool actually.
mm.
Now there are a few different other things. That's why I said there's multiple ways to play the game. A lot of people don't know it's almost kind of like an Undertale style.
Okay.
So, how have you played so far through once you beat the first level boss, what did you do? Did you get the next character?
Yeah, I got the next character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that there was some sort of play mechanics that kind of encourage you to use that character.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like let me try it out. And then like just in experimenting, I was like, man, this is really awesome. Like just that nature of like experimenting where you don't know where you're going and like you don't really know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
That feeling is sort of like it's a really hard thing to capture, and I don't really necessarily experience it when I play like new games. you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that one was definitely like that part of playing felt old and but somehow fresh at the same time. So,
See, I think
uh,
that's where the storytelling is genius. Is that you actually the story unfolds as you play the game, which is an
mhm,
old school NES way of storytelling. And the other thing is though, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but nobody's really tried it. Some people have, obviously, but you don't have to like collect the character, right?
I didn't know that.
You can
I
kill them.
really.
You can kill the orb instead of touching it. You can destroy them, and then you absorb their powers, and your swordsman becomes more powerful, the Demon Slayer. becomes more powerful. And I haven't done it yet. You can do a whole playthrough like that, and you unlock a whole different mode if you beat it like that. So if you beat it the way you're playing it currently, you unlock a mode. I think you unlock Nightmare mode, and you play without the swordsman. That's the mode that I have to play next if I continue the linear path. But if you play it the other way, I think you unlock like ultimate mode or something.
How long did it take you to finish the first run through?
Couple hours.
Really?
Yeah. It only took me a couple hours. I mean, I'm good at Castlevania. I've been playing platformers my entire life.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. Like, I'm an old platformer guy.
Yeah.
And immediately I felt myself like, all these memories came up where I was kind of like, man, this feels like Ninja Gaiden. This feels like Mega Man.
You playing casual mode or normal mode?
I think normal. Yeah, normal for sure.
I think the difference between casual and normal is that normal is your Ninja Gaiden, Castlevania hitbacks, whereas casual you don't get hit back. I think that's the only difference.
And you know what? It was funny because I noticed that. And once again, like I don't really know a lot about games, but I do know that that's like a big design faux pas, right? Where like you get hit and you go back. And I was like, they included it in this game. I was like, that's really weird. I was thinking like I thought we were past that, but like I said, I'm an old platformer guy, so it didn't feel out of place to me. I just noticed.
They purposely put that in there.
Right. I was like, man, this is fantastic.
The other classic that they put in there, which I don't know if you've noticed yet, because I don't know how many platforming segments you've been in, but when you jump, you're committed to that jump.
Yeah, you can't. Right. Yeah, I noticed that too.
And with the female whip user, she jumps really high. So when you're doing some later on, there's like single pixel jumps you have to do. You have to do it perfectly or change to a different character.
That's nuts, man. Yeah. I definitely noticed that about the jumping. I don't know. It's just I thought they really took the elements of those classic games and just really packaged them really, really wonderfully. I think the graphics are absolutely fantastic. I think they're superb. I like the way, like you said, with the way they take this NES style, but they really augment the backgrounds, and the bosses are huge. Yeah, I'm really
crazy, man.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's another game that I thought like kind of tried to do that, but I didn't get hooked on was Axiom Verge. Do you know this game?
Oh yeah, Axiom Verge is like a very love letter to Metroid.
Metroid, yeah. And I loved the thing that really I felt like Axiom Verge missed was that. With the first Metroid, even though you can really easily get lost, there was ways of knowing where you were, like in the level design. Like you could tell, well, I'm in this part of the map, just by looking at the blocks and that kind of thing. I felt like Axiom Verge didn't have that. I felt like it was way too easy to get lost, and I was like,
I think so too. Like I initially had Axiom Verge. I think it was on the PS3 or PS4, whichever system. And then I was waiting for the Vita version to come out because I wanted to play it portably. And like it either did come out or I stopped playing the Vita by then. And then the last year the Switch version came out, and then I got engrossed in it again.
Oh, it's on Switch. Yeah, and the other thing about the Axiom Verge was that I felt like the weapons weren't that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like they didn't have as much utility as like in Metroid. Every weapon seemed to have like a really, really good use.
Yeah, a lot of them were just like for range or firing or.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it was.
Because the irony is, I do consider Axiom Verge a hidden gaming gem.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
I can totally see that because like I said, a lot of the elements were very, reminiscent, and it was fun, and I did like definitely the visual style.
I do agree with the weaponry though. Like the weaponry, there's just too many, honestly.
Right. Yeah. And they kind of all of that power gets diluted when it's when they separate all that all those weapons into like you're kind of like I don't even know what this does. I almost don't know what these weapons do.
Well, and that's the thing is like it's almost I relied on a few because the lightning one or one of those weapons would like shoot through walls, and I would always just use that one because I could literally stand behind a wall and just kill the enemies on the other side.
Yeah.
Whereas something else might be a little stronger or not as accurate, and This was like a giant shotgun blast of lightning. It's gonna kill everything. So why the hell went so it was like it was my argument to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch, where when weaponry breaks, it forces you to use everything. Whereas Axiom Verge was the opposite. You get all these different weapons, but you only end up using a couple because there's only a couple that are really worth using compared to the others.
Right,
It's
for
very interesting.
Speaking of when we're talking about platforming,
Oh yeah.
what about Celeste?
Celeste, oh my god. That one I might have to add, because the thing is with like hidden gaming gems and unappreciated ones is, could Bloodstained Curse of the Moon be a hidden gaming gem? It might be, because the internet is a fickle beast. It really is. Like, everybody covered it this week because it just came out. Who knows? Like, nobody's talking about Celeste anymore. Everybody was talking about Celeste when it first came out.
Right, yeah, that's what I felt like.
Because, so, like, Celeste, oh my god, like, that is a platforming dream and nightmare at the same time.
Yeah, it was, man, it's easily one of my favorite games, like, of all time.
And
like,
it's like
that's
the
in
stuff
my
that
top
should have
5.
been, the games that should have been, or not the games, but the levels in Celeste that should have been frustrating were, like, surprisingly fluid and fun. Like, where all the wind was picking you up, and you're doing these crazy, like, jumps with multiple, like, dashes in the air, and then the wind is pushing you, and it's really satisfying.
Yeah, the level design in that game is just absolutely genius, man. The mechanics are simple, and yet they're so perfectly designed, and then they're like kind of designed to be exploited. Um, for the speedrunners, and I can't say enough good things about the game. I think the soundtrack is absolutely dynamite. And probably my favorite part of that game is the narrative. Like, I think easily, I don't think that I've ever experienced any like work in any medium where your experience directly informs the narrative and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I felt like Celeste really, really, with the writing and the gameplay, they really, really captured that. It's amazing.
It was really interesting too, like the different types of, I don't know, like scenarios that you came across in Celeste, where you went from this crazy mountain to inside of a hotel with a ghost.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it was just like so varied, and each one fit well.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I love that, and just from a storytelling standpoint, it's almost kind of, I think my favorite thing was like at the end, where everybody, like, who was like your enemy at the beginning is freaking having a cake together, or a pie,
Everybody's having a good time at the end.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It was really great.
It's just really good storytelling at that point, and the fact that the game is like has all these extra collectibles and extra things to do, but it's like you don't have to.
You don't have to. No, but my dumbass went ahead and platinumed that game anyway.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, man. It's the only game I've ever gotten a platinum trophy on.
Oh shit,
PS4.
you got platinum on it. Nice.
Yeah. That's what is it, like 200 strawberries, like all the A sides, the B sides, and the C sides.
Holy Lord.
So,
I played it on the Switch. I just played through it,
and that was like, it's good enough.
Well, I don't have the time. Like, I'm always doing all this stuff, and I have like all these brand new homebrew games, and like one thing that Celeste reminded me of is a hidden gaming gem on the NES, but it's a homebrew, is one of the first big homebrew games, which was Battle Kid Fortress of Peril. And it has this level layout mentality, and you mentioned a key thing, speed running, right?
All right.
So the guy who created Battle Kid likes Mega Man speed running, so he created every level in that game to be, you could speed run through it, and it's the character's almost like Mega Man, but it's one-hit deaths, kind of like Celeste. And then you keep on making slow progress. So I think instead of like screen by screen like you do in Celeste, it's like every 4 or 5 screens you get a save point.
Battle Kid, Fortress of Peril.
And there's 2 of them on the NES, created by Savak Games. And like that one is definitely going in my Hidden Gaming Gems book. I mean, actually, Celeste is a pretty strong candidate now that we talk about it.
Yeah, man.
Very strong candidate to throw in there. Hell, you platinumed it. Maybe you want to write about Celeste in the book.
Man, I could write and talk about that game all day, man.
Done.
That's one of my favorites.
There we
You
go.
know that. Yeah, you know and like some of my favorite games like didn't age that well. Like Final Fantasy VII is one of them. Like doesn't age very well at all. Like if you play it now, it's kind of like it's kind of shitty. Uh, but Celeste for sure is just it's way up there for me. Maybe like two or three on my ranking.
What was that?
Oh, I was looking at Battle Kid Fortress of Peril. Like,
Nice hair. Hi.
and then and then like it's this Game Grumps video. I
Oh yeah,
clicked
they're
on it
pissed.
accidentally.
So the thing is, you die a lot in Battle Kid, so
Uh-huh.
like that's where the Game Grumps get pissed because they were playing it and dying all the time. But it has that one more go, just like Celeste. It doesn't have the writing that Celeste does, obviously, but it doesn't have that. You know, you don't get engrossed in the characters.
These physics look awesome.
It's amazing.
It looks awesome, man. It looks almost like DuckTales.
Yeah. And I guess it was inspired by I Wanna Be the Guy, which was like a Flash game, on the computer. So it was based a little bit off that, but yeah, it's on RetroUSB.com. They're for sale. Like they've been. I think it was from 2008 was when Battle Kid was released. Like it's almost it's 10 years old I think now, something like that.
Wow,
it's like crazy.
This is great, man. Look at this game. There's a lot of things that remind. I mean, obviously of Mega Man, but like kind of Mighty Bomb Jack. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's kind of neat.
And then like the bosses you can't get hit, so the bosses are crazy, man. It's like there's some intense battles, and I've actually speed ran the boss fight in Battle Kid 1 when there was a competition, and I earned a copy of the limited edition of Battle Kid 2 by winning the speed run.
Nice.
I did it faster than the ones who have the YouTube videos. It was funny, and I just posted the screenshot of my time. They're like, "Whoa!"
That's hardcore.
I was like obsessed with it for so long.
You're hardcore, man.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it's like when you get obsessed with a game, though, it's like you can't stop putting it down. You can't put it down.
Yeah. Celeste was like that for me. You know which one? Another one, Super Meat Boy.
Oh, Super Meat Boy was amazing.
But probably, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But you know what? That was one of those, like, kind of like you. Like, I played it once. Like, got through it.
Yep.
And I think that was it. Like, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't get all the collectibles in Super Meat Boy, but I did beat it. I did get the guy, which was actually from I Want to Be the Guy, which Battle Kid was based on. He's actually in Super Meat Boy.
I didn't know that.
The character is, yeah. There's a bonus level where you can unlock him as a character, and it's like one of the most frustrating levels in all of gaming.
Wow.
Had to beat that one, but yeah, I guess there's a sequel to Super Meat Boy coming out for the Switch.
No way.
Yeah, you get to play. I think you play as Meat Boy and Bandage Girl going after their kid now. It was captured.
Super Meat Boy forever.
Forever. Yep, forever.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's gonna be freaking outstanding when that comes out.
Oh goodness, man, these guys are gonna make $1 billion if they hadn't already made $1 billion.
Well, and that's just it. Is like in the music in there. I mean, there's just so many cool like franchises now that are coming out that's just taking the world by storm, and that's where like stuff like Bloodstained and Celeste are gonna be lost to the ether. I think. Like,
think so?
Like Bloodstained has ego to it. It's popular. I think all of the people in the know are gonna know about Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. But here's the question: when the Bloodstained game comes out, the one that was supposed to come out, what's gonna happen? Is it either going to be A, everybody's gonna wish that it was Curse of the Moon, or B, it's gonna overshadow Curse of the Moon and people are gonna forget about it and go, oh, now we have the real game. What do you think?
I don't know, man.
Because the graphics look like Castlevania Dracula X for the PSP. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I haven't.
So they basically took Dracula X, they put a fresh coat of paint, made it look like next gen, and changed the mechanics a little, which they don't play as well as Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine CD for Castlevania. But it's like, it looks cool, but it's not as graphically it's beautiful, but it's just not quite the same as playing a pixelated Castlevania. And
Right, for sure.
they've now, I think, shot themselves in the foot by putting out an amazing game. And like, here's the thing though, it could still be amazing, but I think we're gonna see parallels to Mighty Number 9, regardless.
Oh yeah.
It has that same
Yeah.
graphical polish.
Oh, okay. See, that makes more sense to me. Like that, I understand.
But I think it'll be
See.
better graphically than Mighty Number 9, because that one I think was low res or something. Some people were mad that the graphics weren't as nice as the demos when Mighty Number 9 came out.
Yeah, Mighty Number 9 had a really, really rough man. It had a rough life.
Yeah, I just think that they overcomplicated the mechanics a little bit, because like it's Mega Man, spiritual successor to Mega Man. It's just you have to do all these complex like absorptions of the characters and stuff instead of just killing them and taking power ups.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why it's tried and true, man.
Yeah, I never played Mighty Number 9. I did hear that the kind of weaponry was like really left a lot to be desired.
It's just, to me, it's just overcomplicated. Like they try to do too much and be clever with it, and I don't know, people were just looking to hate on it anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mega Man is, and they got Mega Man. What is it, 11 coming out now?
Yeah, now, Capcom took notice. They're gonna put out Mega Man 11, and they'll probably knock it out of the park.
And that's another one that they updated. They're updating the graphics on, right? Finally.
Yep. Well, I mean, they did update the graphics in Mega Man 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of those just because.
But nobody. Yeah, I was about to say, like, nobody likes those. Like, well, I don't know anybody that likes them. Let's put it that way.
They're not bad. They just don't control as well.
No, they don't. The mechanics are super weird.
Because I mean, Mega Man's bigger, so he has a bigger hitbox. So to me, it's just like he doesn't quite control like I would like.
And then Mega Man 9 and 10 were just great. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you go like, yeah, we made 9 and 10, and we went back to the original formula, and it was great. And now we're just gonna try to do that thing where we change everything again.
Well, hopefully the controls from 9 and 10 stay with 11, and it just graphically looks nicer. And
yeah, I'm hoping so.
If we're lucky, they'll Wonder Boy it. I don't know if you played the new Wonder Boy.
No, I haven't.
So the new Wonder Boy is, it's based off of the classic Master System series. And this one's like Monster Land or whatever, but you can literally hit a button and it'll change it to Master System graphics and then back to like
cool.
drawn art. And it's 1 for 1.
Oh,
so
really?
Maybe Mega Man will do that where you can hit a button, you can change it right to 8-bit and then go back up to high res.
That would be cool. That would be cool. That would be really cool.
It'd be amazing if they did that.
Mm-hmm.
They do that with like audio too now, and it's like, man, if
they do.
They could just knock it out of the park.
Didn't they do that like with Street Fighter? Like Switch had a couple of Street Fighter releases where you could change the music and the graphics and that kind of yeah.
The thing is though, is that I think a lot of gamers nowadays, not the old ass gamers like ourselves who enjoy playing all the retro stuff only, but I think that they're getting a little sick and tired of all the retro style. I really do, because like when Double Dragon 4 came out last year, everybody was shitting on it, and I'm like, dude, this is literally a successor to Double Dragon 2 for the NES, which is like one of my favorite NES games of all time.
Oh, I didn't even know they made Double Dragon 4.
Yeah, Double Dragon 4 is like, it's literally the NES sprites with new text, polys in the backgrounds, and looks amazing, and controls just like the NES Double Dragon 4, but with extra moves. And like, people were just like, well, I expected something of an upgrade, and I'm like, well, Double Dragon Neon's already out.
Right.
So, like, this is Double Dragon 4, this is the NES style, and nobody really liked it, but Kyle and I, we loved it.
Man, Double Dragon was so hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I always thought Double Dragon was, like, stupid hard, and, like, I never see it. Like, when you see lists of, like hardest NES games, I never see it on there, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, this game was really freaking hard. Like, what?
Double Dragon 3 should be on there, because Double Dragon 3 was stupid hard.
They were all hard to me, man. Ninja Gaiden,
Ninja Gaiden's a beast.
Yeah, that was a hard one, man. Battletoads was just ridiculous. Never got past that. Was it the third stage?
The Turbo Tunnel.
Yeah,
Battletoads. It's classics, man.
I never even met anybody that got past that third stage.
Well, you've met me.
All right.
I can get through it.
You know what? All right, I can scratch that one off the list then.
I can no death run Double Dragon too. Like
Really?
Kyle, I think is really damn close to being able to no death run Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, really? That's crazy. The only game that I can no death run is Mega Man 2. Like I can no death run now.
I actually beat Mega Man 2 yesterday. So I got the Switch collection. And
that just came out.
I played the Mega Man 2 portably, sitting there laying on my couch yesterday. And maybe it was 2 days ago, because I played Mega Man 2 and then I played Bloodstained in the same night. It's so hard to beat games nowadays, and I beat 2 games in one day. It was amazing.
Jesus, man, it's too many good games out there, man.
Well, and the backlog is the thing. Like, I used to keep track. I just stopped. Because, like, it was, like, crazy because I had thousands of games in my backlog. And I'm like, well, they're all amazing, though. So what do I choose? And instead, I just kind of go with what people recommend or what I'm playing for bullshit homework for VGBS, you know.
Oh, right.
Because right now, we're playing some Rambo 3 for an episode. But, the reason why I want this to be more, like, uncut and uncensored and just, like, live, is because, like, we're going to record that, and then it won't go out on an episode for, like, 6 to 8 months whenever Kyle gets around to editing it. It's so meticulous, and it's like, I'd rather it be what it is, and we just have a good conversation and shoot the shit.
Yeah, that's kind of the attitude that I have about things and editing.
Exactly. And this allows me to get, you know, some crazy BS off my chest about the books and promote, like, what's coming up and talk about the games I've been playing in real time, like Bloodstained. Just play the damn thing. Like, it's on top of my mind. Like, shit, everybody's fucking playing it. Like you were saying, I only played a couple levels. Well, that's fine. Like, everybody has a different experience. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be mastered. Like, we went analytical into that sucker.
I know, yeah, we got pretty deep for only having played 2 levels.
But you're a gamer.
Yeah, man.
You're a gamer. Yeah. You played games your entire life, like just like me. It's like we could go off the beaten path on anything, man. And that's the crazy thing. Yeah, so like that's the thing that I always wonder is like, is stuff like Bloodstained going to be a hidden gaming gem in the future? So like, I almost got to be predictive in like what I'm putting into the book. And the thing is like I could always do a follow-up in the future to the book and as a separate volume even, just to do more games later.
Oh, right.
Always. You could always do that. And that's the thing that gets hard is I'm starting to cover homebrew games in all my books. So like the NES Oddities has homebrew games in it, like brand new games. The Super Nintendo book has homebrew brand new games in it. And then I got to think about it like, well, when people release more games for the system, what do we do?
Oh man, you gotta make an addendum.
Hey, I don't want to make it like a whole new book, like like I've already done a definitive edition of the Super Nintendo book because there was so much extra I wanted to add, and whenever I release, like, yeah, dude, there's gotta be a way.
There's gotta be like, you know, one thing I see on YouTube channels, like there's this channel, you probably know it, Did You Know Gaming, you know this channel?
Oh yeah.
You know, and I do see them, like, they'll make a whole episode, but then they'll make, like, a little mini episode about some, like, side note, you know what I mean? There's got to be a way for you to have, like, an online-only component where you reference, like, the new stuff, you know what I mean?
Well, that's actually one thing I figured out was how to do Amazon Kindle versions of my book.
There you go.
So I actually released one of my books as a Kindle version last week, which I never thought I would be able to do, but I figured it out. So that might be an option for sure.
Yeah, man.
I could always do like a magazine or an insert type thing, like a small thing. That could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's...
Whenever I re-release, because, I mean, the thing is, I have people that want the complete NES, the book that the first book that caught fire, like, it's been out of print, and every day I'm getting requests. And it's like, well, if I do it, I'm going to overhaul it and make it definitive. Like it's gonna be probably 500 pages when I get done with it, because like right now, like the formatting in that book is what I want, but not as crazy. I want the art to pop. I want it to be bigger, better, badder. So
It's
like,
a lot of work.
but the thing is though, is that like I got books before it in line, so I won't do one of those for years. Because like this, I'm working on like the hidden gaming gems. Like my part's written, so I'm starting to work on formatting for the complete Sega Genesis. And right now with the complete Genesis, I'm like, I don't know, way far down the pipeline. Like I told you, like I forgot to add a game.
Oh, right.
So like I'm going through and I manually make all the layouts for the book, and like I have it like laid out to where it's pretty doable. But I'm in the G's right now. I'm in like L or something. I'm up to L in the Sega Genesis, and there's like 600 and something games for the Sega Genesis that I'm putting in.
Jeez.
And I forgot Arrow Flash.
Fuck.
So I had to go all the way the fuck back and move every game over, the layouts over by one. Throughout the whole fucking book. And luckily, I didn't start adding the art to G yet, because I started doing the text at that point for a while. And so I was like, shit, good, thank God. So I only had to go up to G, Gaiaris, actually. And I got that done today. Like, and it was like I think it was a 10-hour mistake. And it cost me 10 hours to fix all that.
That's a lot of time.
It was like, I think it was 50 pages of editing. Like, jeez, dude.
Fucking Christ.
And that's like, it's not hard. Like, it's just tedious and crazy. And
right.
Like, but the
Just
thing is,
sitting there
going through
clicking.
this, man, I realized how much I didn't play the Genesis growing up, because there's so many like box arts that I'm doing. They look fucking amazing. That I've played a lot of the games on emulators or, on the actual Genesis, but like seeing the box art for different games, I'm like, I've never seen these box arts before. The Sega Genesis is freaking amazing.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of underrated stuff on there.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool too, because I've played every Nintendo game and every Super Nintendo game now, including Famicom and Super Famicom. So, because I play every game that's in my books, so like I got Genesis to play. So I'm doing the layouts right now. I'm not doing the writing, and then so once I get all the layouts done for the entire book, then I'm gonna go through and play everything and write about them.
Jesus, man.
And
do you ever sleep?
Yeah, sometimes. As I said, man, like we were talking, like throughout the week, like it's little by little is how I do the progress. Like I'd spend an hour or two on the book, like not that long. But like fixing these Super Nintendo errors, that's been what's consuming me recently. And I mean, the Genesis book's gonna be freaking ridiculous though, because there's over 200 brand new Genesis games, like homebrew games.
Fuck.
Yeah. That's a third of the Genesis library, U.S. library.
Right.
And that's, Jesus Christ. Some of the games, like, I may not be able to play them. Hopefully I can. I have this one game that's over here. It's called Zombie Terror that I bought a while ago, and it was a Commodore 64 and a Genesis version. And it's like this crazy zombie text-based adventure that's on the Genesis. Like,
really?
I have it over here. It's in a VHS case. It's like a horror movie case. Like, dude, there's so many freaking crazy experiences out there, man. That's why, like, I'm glad, because I let the backers and the customers, I let them vote on what book they want next. Genesis won by a landslide, so.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the thing is, though, this is going to take me the next couple years that probably the whole time I'm out in Texas, I'll be working on this book, because they take a long time.
It is a lot of work, man. And then especially, like, if you're doing, you've got your time budgeted out if you're doing an hour at a time.
and that's it. Like, and it might be like I do, I don't know, 8 hours a week on a book, but it's like Saturday and Sunday mornings. I mean, sometimes that's what it is, like Saturday and Sunday. Because the thing is, for my job, I wake up at like 4 in the morning to go to work. So like I'll sleep in till 6 and then wake up and I'm still 2 hours, 3 hours before my family wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit there and I'll work on the book for a few hours and then it's like before lunch we'll go do some family stuff.
Fuck.
Dude, it's
Yeah,
craziness, man.
it
So
is.
so what are you currently working on, or do you got anything you want to plug before we wrap things up?
Well, I mean, obviously, we talked
Besides
a
for
little
the
bit earlier.
secret, besides
Yeah.
for the secret project.
Besides that, I've got myself into a little rhythm. We got that Kickstarter funded, and so
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited because that record's going to get done. Our second album, and this one, I'm kind of glad that it's taken as long as it has because through the process, I've been able to figure out, some mistakes that, not mistakes, but some things I would have liked to have done better on the first one, and how to do them,
Upgrades.
better. Yeah. So,
Hell yeah.
we're looking forward to that. I know that by the end of the summer, we're gonna have that record, and you're gonna have a vinyl
Hell yeah, I am. How
of
many people
Mighty.
backed that vinyl?
Man, a couple. It was like 10 people.
Dude, that's gonna be
Uh,
pretty freaking cool,
yeah,
though.
it's gonna be that's gonna be beautiful, and I don't know. I don't know if you saw the album art on that vinyl.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it looks
and
amazing.
so I'm really proud of that. It's I feel like with the first record we barely scratched the surface of what I had originally intended when we had this idea, but the second one is going to be much closer uh, to what I think mariachi video game music should be. You know,
Well,
uh,
you are setting the standard. Like nobody else does it, and
yeah. But even then, like in my mind,
so you're
um,
almost to where what's in your mind.
we're almost gonna start scratching the surface. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, because yeah, like I said, with the first one, I felt like we didn't even come close. Like in my mind, it sounded so different, and but we're going to get closer this time, and I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah, man. And the thing is, if you're not raising the bar on what you're doing with each and every release, you're
What
gonna
are you
look
doing?
back with regret. That's the
Absolutely.
thing. You're gonna learn so much as you continue to create content. Like it's just
Right.
gonna happen. I mean, if you compare my latest release to my first release, it's night and day. And
Sure. Yeah.
that's probably how it's gonna go back to you as well because we're all doing this kind of what I call like the ground pound way. Like
Oh, huh.
we're doing it ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
We don't
man.
have
Yeah,
some
man.
kind of machine that just puts out records or puts out books. It's like we do
Bucks.
this. We're doing this ourselves by
Right.
hand.
Every part of it, every word that goes in there, you typed, every note that goes on that record, somebody
Yo,
had to write
dude,
it down and play it, So
you had to play it. You had
yeah,
to edit it. You had to perfect it.
yeah,
Like,
everything.
dude.
So for
Well,
sure.
man, like if there is anybody else out there in music that's as passionate as you, I'd like to freaking meet them because you are a freaking one passionate dude.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it. Likewise, man. Likewise, and thank you for having me, and thank you for the words of encouragement. Really appreciate you,
I ain't gonna let you fail, man.
man.
you
Yeah,
get
thanks.
you gonna get it. That's the thing though, man. Is like if we're not there for each other as content creators, like who else is gonna be
Right.
there for us? Like that's it, man.
Yeah, I'm glad we have that. I'm glad that as creators, we help each other out like that because man, nobody else understands.
It's a really cool community and like everybody out there that I meet, and it's one of the cool things about going to conventions is you meet other like-minded individuals, and even just like some of the people that support are just like so positive out there and just trying to make sure that you put forth your best foot. It's humbling and it's awesome, and the community's great, and that's why I keep going. It keeps me motivated. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah,
For
yeah, it
sure,
is a
man.
good career.
So I'd say that's a good spot to wrap up the first little inaugural episode. I'm gonna continue to probably do this for the time being and just to shoot the shit with a bunch of cool people, man. Thanks, Dave, for coming on.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, brother.